T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You are now tapped into the coolest reptile podcast in the world. Welcome to the Trap Talk Reptile Podcast. I'm your boy MJ. How you doing? Good to see everybody out there. If this is your first time tapping in, do your boy a favor. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way on top of every single podcast I drop here on this YouTube channel. I'm also on all the major audio platforms such as Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. If you listen to me on those platforms as well, thank you so much. Make sure you also rate, review, and subscribe on those platforms. If you're looking for exclusive content, if you'd like to get more out of what you see here on every episode, if you would like to be a part of an awesome, growing community, go down to the very first link you see in the description below and join the Trap Talk Patreon family. As soon as you join the Patreon family, you get a link to the Discord, which will tap you in with over 160 trappers, a lot of dedicated animal keepers. We're learning every single day off of all of each other's projects, a lot of sharing, a lot of selling, buying, trading, you name it, growing, more importantly, in the Trap family. But yeah, man, I think the Discord is just so much beneficial for anybody who's just looking to tap into multiple things in the reptile industry or just one thing, doesn't matter, but we're very diverse in this family. We all work with a lot of stuff. But listen, thank you so much, Patreon family. I love you guys so much. Seriously, you guys are my main motivation. And yeah, see you guys at the top. I also want to say, go follow me on Instagram if you want to see what I have going on as far as projects and animals that I'm breeding and working with, and animals that I just simply admire. Well, then a couple ways you could do about that. Go to Instagram, Trap Talk God 619 on Instagram. Give me a follow, and also follow the podcast's Instagram page as well, Trap Talk Reptile Podcast. Also on Facebook, Trap Talk Reptile Podcast. Shoot me a like. Follow and all that good stuff on Facebook. I do want to say that tonight's episode is brought to you by my boy Doug over at Ridiculous RHACS, #1 lychee breeder in the game. I feel like dude's on the next level with these lychees and other amazing gecko species. Seriously, go check him out. My boy Doug, Ridiculous RHACS on Instagram, and you can catch him at shows like Tinley and whatnot, the big shows. And I appreciate your support, Doug. Seriously, looking forward to what you got going on this year. Big things over at Ridiculous RHACS. And also this episode is brought to you by my boy Blake over at Blake Exotics Animal Ranch and Feeders. My boys working with quails and looking to take over the quail game. Looking forward to working with you. It's been fun so far. I'm not going to lie, Blake. You're an awesome guy, and these quails are next level quality. He's already sent me a couple orders in, and I am stoked. My animals love them, and I feel like any reptile should be on a diverse diet. Quail's a good diet to have for majority of reptiles, I feel like, depending what it is. But either way, looking forward to this year switching a lot of my reptiles, not all the way over to quail, but you know, a lot of quail implemented in this year's dieting for my reptiles. So far, so good. Thank you so much, Blake. Go give him a follow on Instagram and head over to his website as well, BlakeExoticAnimalRanch.com. Place your order. And yeah, see you guys. Let Blake know that MJ sent you from the Trap too. All right. If you do happen to hit up Blake, just say, hey man, the Trap sent me, so I'm here. There you go. All right. Appreciate your love and support. Appreciate all the early birds who's here, who's ready to rock and roll. I know I'm excited for Adam, man. I'm not gonna lie. This guy is very funny, interesting, all the above. And I've heard nothing but good things about Adam from people who actually know him a lot better than I do. I've actually met him personally, I think once, and that was Animal Con. So anyways, it's going to be a good night. Eclipse, what is good, buddy? Sweden in the house. Trap Talk Global, Patreon member. Appreciate you so much. The homegirl, AJ in the building. What's up, AJ? AJ's wicked balls, even though she doesn't physically have them, but mentally they're wicked. Thank you for your support, AJ. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Slithery Serpent's a homeboy in the pad. Trap Talk Patreon member. What's good, buddy? Snakes for the Memories. What is good? Thanks for being here, buddy. Lizard Man 0897 Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Heartland Reptiles, aka the homie Jordan, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Tough Art Pythons in the building. What is up, Tough Art? Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Heathen Hatchery in the building. Big homie in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Wise Guys, forget about it. Thanks for being here, buddy. The homie Josh in the building. Scale, Fins, and Feathers. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. JKJ Reptiles. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Sitting with some trap heat. The homie Bluntman Reptiles, also Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Reptifari in the building. What's up, player? Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Justin Campbell in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. I love it. Morph Valley Reptiles. What is up, player? Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Thanks for tapping in. The homie Aaron from Balls of Paradise. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Thanks for tapping in, homie. Appreciate you. Joe DeStefano in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member. Just saw the podcast that Joe had with the homie Wiz Constrictor. Great show, buddy. Appreciate the love and support anyone shows this guy and the homie Wiz. So make sure you head over to Wiz's podcast that he has on Saturdays and check out my homie Joe. Big up and comer in the game. I'll tell you that right now. Appreciate you. Aurora in the building. What's up, homegirl? Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Brad's Bioactive Builds. What's up, Brad? Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. The homegirl Lindsay from Pico Pythons in the building. What's up, Lindsay? Thank you for being here. You probably have a million other podcasts to go visit, but it's okay. Thank you for being here. Mark Anderson in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Thanks for hanging out with us here tonight, Mark. Galaxy Reptiles in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Matsu Morphs in the building, working with some straight fire over there. So make sure you go check them out on Instagram. Row 5.0 kicking it with us tonight. Trap Talk Patreon member. We're going to end this in super hardcore style with Father Blue. Check out my boy Father Blue working with next level stuff by these reptiles, doing the most. Ain't nobody doing what this guy's doing. Hate on it all you want. My boy Eddie from Father Blue. Looking forward to seeing what you got going on this year, bro. You're about to shut a lot of people down. That's a fact. All right, guys, it's game time. Adam's waiting. I'm waiting. Canada's finest about to join us right now. Are you guys ready? I know I'm ready. Guys, do what you got to do to stay hydrated. Do what you got to do to get your mind right. Okay, but it's going down right now. Finally, I get to sit down with Adam Wickens from Wickens Wicked Reptiles, episode 332. He's fresh from the jungle. Let's go. Gee.
Hot from.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up.
Oh my gosh, we're live, and I just saw this fool drink pickle juice right now.
Bro, you know it's got to be pickle juice immediately. Like it's how we start streams. I don't care if it's my stream or somebody else's stream. It's got to be pickle juice right off the bat.
It would have been. I mean, it would have been not as funny if I would have saw you do that during sound check. I didn't see that jar at all during sound check. I just, as I looked before I hit the screen, it's just like, I'm like, dude, this fool's chugging pickle juice, and he's the pickle king for some reason. You love pickles, I'm assuming.
Yeah, dude. I don't know if you follow the Instagram, but all the reels are just pickles now, and that's just kind of what the whole brand is.
No, that's not true. I do follow you. You don't have that.
Dude, every reel is pickles. That's it. Every single reel for the last like 3 months is just pickles now.
They're in there. I see them. Oh my god. Okay. Well, what's that? What's the inspiration of that? I'm curious. Just love.
I don't know, dude. Like I just always been like pickle obsessed, and then I made one reel. Like I did this one reel with a pickle jar in my hand and no shirt, and all of a sudden that reel went well. So I'm like, okay, so from now on, I just don't wear clothes and I drink pickle juice, and that's my brand. That's it.
Dude, you got to look at the signs sometimes, and if this is it, this is it. I'm happy for you, buddy.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, for real. Hey, listen, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Listen, I feel like this year's been pretty busy for you. You've been traveling a lot. Is that normal for you?
It's been pretty new. Like I feel like so first of all, thank you for having me on. I've been waiting to be on this podcast for a long time. It feels like an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.
And in terms of like traveling, it's just been kind of like, I've been very lucky to have a lot of friends who put these trips together. So like shout out to Dave Kaufman and Dion from Reptiles and Mike Taitul and all these guys who just invite me on these trips. And then I get to go travel the world. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I feel like my biggest take on the reptile industry is obviously, besides the animals and the experience that we have with them, the people are awesome. I mean, obviously you have to like pivot around certain people, but you connect with certain people that take you on these next level life experiences that you would never say like you would do 5 years ago or something. Either way, I think it's awesome and it's inspiring. Listen, I've done a lot of traveling within the country. Traveling can go a couple different ways, either really smooth or like, fuck, this is terrible, layovers. How was the traveling back in, you went to Malaysia or where did you go with Dave recently? Madagascar, I'm sorry. Is that where you went?
So in October and November, I went to Bali, Indonesia, and then Thailand, all over Thailand with Dave. And that was great. The flights were easy. Dave handled the whole thing, exit rows, leg room. Like Dave is the master of travel. Yeah. But let me tell you about Madagascar, bro. Okay. Kenya Airways can eat my whole taint. Like I do not have any respect for this entire company. We were delayed 36 hours on the way back, 12 hours on the way there. So we lost a whole 2 days of traveling because of this one airline. So the experience was great. I don't regret it. I had so much fun with my friends. But Kenya Airways, if there was like the opposite of a shout out, I would give them that.
At least you made it here, though. I mean, you made it back home. It'd be one thing, I guess, if you know.
I didn't get arrested and put into a Kenya jail. So it could have been worse.
I gotta ask you, Adam. How old are you, man? I feel like you're, not
30. I'll be 32 next month. So
okay, cool, awesome. So
ancient. I'm an artifact. Yeah.
But I mean, it seems to me that what's behind you is kind of meant to be with you. I mean, it looks like keeping reptiles is in your blood or something, or you've been doing it for a while. Let's kind of talk about that.
So I actually got started pretty late. So like when I was a kid, I was obsessed with reptiles. Right, my entire life was like Steve Irwin, Crab Brothers, like stuff like that, Jack Hanna. And then, but my parents didn't let me get reptiles. So I didn't get my first one until I was, I think, 18 or 19. I was paying rent at home. And then this girl that I worked with, she just plopped this bearded dragon in my hand one day. And she's like, this is yours now. And I was paying rent at home. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm bringing this thing home. And then eventually, over the years, it just kind of grew and grew. And then, now I have a zoo in my house.
Now, I mean, I do want to kind of dive right into as far as your grind and your hustle behind YouTube. Has that been a big influence as far as getting the animals to the amount that you have, or did that kind of come along with YouTube? Like how, like I'm just curious which one you started attacking first.
So I started to really grow the collection in I think 2016 or 2017. I had like 3 reptiles for a long time, 2 bearded dragons and a leopard gecko. I still have the leopard gecko. He's back there. I've had him since 2010. And then I started I was dating this girl and we got into kind of ball pythons together. We started to breed ball pythons and then hognose snakes and then a bunch of other stuff. And then once that ended, it kind of like stagnated because I had no help. And then I just decided, okay, well, I have nothing going on. And then this guy that I know, so I'm a stand-up comedian. I don't know if you knew that, but that's how I got into this in the first place.
Okay.
And this guy, he's like, hey, listen, so you have this big personality and you have this camera and you have a bunch of weeks off work. So I got fired from this job and I was going to start this other job in 3 weeks. Right. He's like, why don't you start a YouTube channel since you're doing nothing? So I'm like, okay. So I started this YouTube channel. And then as that grew, so did the collection. So I guess like the short answer to your my long-winded answer is that the collection grew with the success of the YouTube channel.
That's awesome. I mean, I kind of felt like, because we all start, me and you kind of have the same story. I have a whole story of why I'm obsessed with reptiles, but never kept them at this level at all as a kid, teenager, even in my 20s. None of this was happening. This all happened in my 30s. But it all started growing progressively as the podcast was growing, as I was meeting people, I was getting new interests in things. And what's crazy is like, I got certain animals that if I would have never thought 3 years ago I would have, just because how expensive this shit is. All this stuff costs money. You know what I mean? And obviously there's a lot of people who just don't have a lot of good luck with animals. And I don't know if that's just really the luck or their lack of the care, but a lot of people just get in the position of getting their dream animal and it just doesn't go well. You know what I mean? So that's another thing. Like I'm very happy that what I love, I'm meant to work with, you know what I mean? Because just because you love something doesn't mean you should be keeping it like this. Do you feel like, does that make sense? Because some people have other, like in my eyes, Adam, this right here is priority, right? Like that means if anything needs to happen throughout the day, this gets taken care of first. And then I can figure out like if I could leave the house or not. Right. There's some people who do the opposite. There's some people there's some people who put everything else in front of the animals. And I don't feel like that's what you do in this case when you have them at this level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. At the end of the day, all these things are living and breathing animals. So
right.
You have to take care of them first. And what I did to kind of mitigate that, because I have other things that I like to do, and I don't want this to be my entire life. So I hired somebody. So now I have a zookeeper, right? So I have a zookeeper who comes here twice a week, and she does basically everything. Like there's stuff like we fed a rabbit to this berm the other day, and he didn't eat it. So I got to take this. Like I just realized now, the Mist King always goes off as I'm filming a video or doing a podcast. But either way, like everything is on automation. I have an employee. I got employees for the business and stuff. So I try to make it like as much of hands off as possible so that I can enjoy these animals. Because correct me if I'm wrong. When you got into reptiles, your idea was, I want to hang out with reptiles. I want to handle snakes and handle lizards and just kind of have fun. And then it becomes a business, and it becomes one of those things where it becomes almost not a burden, but a burden. And you have to unburden yourself from that. And the way that I did that was hiring people as I just kill time as this Mist King. It's supposed to be 60 seconds. Like, come on. Okay, there we go. We're good.
No, totally. I mean, things could really escalate to a level with the animals that you could have never expected, like pretty quickly, and you got to understand, just as how things land in your lap in this industry, it kind of like, you work with certain things that you never thought you would work with, but it just happened to be. You happen to travel somewhere you never thought you would travel, but it just happened to be. So, I say you embrace it, right? But you also kind of look at the signs. You should be enjoying it first and foremost, right? Like there should never be a moment where you're dreading to walk into your snake room or you're dreading to go. Like you said, I have to tell myself, well, there's no reason for you to be in this room anymore. Like you did everything today. Go hang out with your wife. You know what I mean? Or something like, so every now and again, like I have to, do remind myself, like, dude, get like, just leave it alone, but it really is all about just kind of taking shit on as it comes, right? Because I definitely got into this just like, hey man, I just want to hang out with reptiles. I never even thought about fucking making money off these animals at all. Like that wasn't even like, I didn't even think that could be a thing. I didn't think I'd be good enough for that. But then sure enough, ball pythons really took me to all this. Like ball pythons is what brought me all this shit. I'm not gonna lie, man. And I'm very blessed by the ball pythons. But there's definitely animals I had to let go of. Like, for instance, I had venomous, I had a rattlesnake, right? And I couldn't keep my fucking hands off of it. And my wife hated it. Right. But and luckily I wasn't, like I wasn't trying to be like, oh, let me fucking put this on camera. Like all this shit with this rattlesnake I did off camera. I would send to my friends, of course, but I would not put stories on it. Right. But my wife was like, dude, I'm cool with all this shit that you do, but this one snake I have a problem with because you can't stop fucking with it. And there was a time and place where I was like, dude, how do I get her like off my case? I have to get rid of this rattlesnake. And so I got rid of the rattlesnake. Right. So I'm just saying people need to kind of just read the writing on the wall sometimes and just say, this right here, as much as I maybe like it, maybe it's not the best suit for me because either I'm too busy or like me, like I can't keep my hands off of it. You know what I mean? But I don't know, case by case, I guess, does that make sense?
Yeah, man, I got a lot of animals in here. Like none of them are like rattlesnakes or anything, but there's certain animals in here that I just can't keep my hands off if I get it. And at the end of the day, like you get into this because of your love for reptiles and then it becomes a job. And you just have to make it still fun, because if it becomes a job and it's not fun anymore, the reason I got into this and quit my day job is so that I didn't have a day job. So if I have a day job again with things that I love, it's still like, I just want to make it fun and make it feel like I can still enjoy myself and this is still a hobby, even though really it's what pays the mortgage. You know what I mean?
So one thing I really appreciate your involvement in the reptile industry, Adam, is how big of a audience you have on, I would say, any platform. I mean, I do follow you on Instagram and YouTube. I don't have, do you have TikTok? Do you do TikTok, any of those?
Yeah, it's super small. It's like 7,000 or something like that. Like it's small, but yeah, I do.
Okay. So either way, like my main uses of platforms are Instagram and YouTube.
Same.
So yeah. So, but it's not easy. Like, especially if like, you know, I feel like the most common thing that people kind of pick up the ball on are working with ball pythons, because ball pythons is like that thing that everyone normally gets into. Like that was my gateway into this, right? It's not, that's not the case for you, okay? But but you also have a lot of knowledge of what each department there is within the reptile industry, because I see your videos, like you do a lot of comparisons. You had a video, I think over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, about how ball python isn't really, or potentially isn't, the best first pet to own or something like that. Is that what was the title of that video? Ball python.
The title,
it was like pretty catchy. It was like, whoa, what? And I remember I watched it because of it.
so I have a whole series, and the one you're talking about is called Ball Pythons Suck. Do not get a ball python.
Oh
That's what it's called.
That's yeah.
Hey, to be fair, for your audience who doesn't watch me, I love ball pythons. I have a whole bunch of them. The idea was, for some people, ball pythons suck, but I try to bring in the haters, right? Because you know as well as I do, right? I know you understand. The negativity brings people in, so I bring people in with negativity, and then I blast them with positivity. So ball pythons are great. I love ball pythons. They're great for most people, but I kind of have to shit on them in order to get people's eyes on them. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I just, not that this video went viral or anything, but my recent vlog was like, are ball pythons trash? You know what I mean? And then I put like in the title, am I really gonna trash my ball pythons? And it's obviously me with the ball python in the trash can right there in the thumbnail. But no, like what I said in my vlog was like about 75 to 80% of my projects I will go ahead and just hand down to someone else who would like to work with them, because I don't want to be sitting on basically snakes I don't want to keep. At the end of the day, my whole idea behind breeding ball pythons were breeding stuff I wanted to keep. Like, meaning like it would be hard to buy this shit off of me because I want it so bad, right? So I ended up having, I mean, I've been doing this for not too long, but going on my 4th year now, and I have stuff where I'm just kind of like, I'm not that fired up to breed this, and like I don't want it, and that's fine. Like, what's the point of just breeding something you don't really want to be breeding on? And then I don't want that to turn into a bunch of baby snakes going onto a shelf, and then I'm like, oh, here we go, I have to fucking feed these and then put these on the internet and take pictures, you know what I mean? And then God, you know, deal with people who are just fucking gonna go back and forth with me over a snake, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to limit all that. I rather go back to the original game plan and work and breed with limited clutches, and those clutches be stuff that I just want to keep. And if I could sell it, I could sell it. But if I don't sell it, I'm okay with it, because I kind of want to keep it too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword, because I feel, in my personal opinion, I think you will agree, but tell me if you don't. If you breed something and you get babies and you have no problem selling them, maybe you shouldn't be breeding that species. You should always feel like you want to keep them because you love that species so much. Because if you don't, and you've lost that love for that species, maybe you shouldn't be in that species in the first place. Yeah,
I agree. And like I said, I don't want to fully get out of ball pythons. I just want to not have as many. Like, I was going up each year was going up by like 15, 20 clutches. Like last year I hit 27 clutches or 26. This year,
that's so many ball pythons.
Dude, this year, if I wanted to keep things going, I would hit over 40 this year. And I was like, I'm good. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't like, even that 26 was like a good taste where I'm like, I'm okay. Like, and luckily it worked out. Like, I ended up selling all my babies, but like I was stressed. Like, I was stressed, and I'd rather not have to stress to sell something. Like you said, I'd rather have it where if that thing don't sell, I'm okay. Fine with me. If I love it. That's what I want to keep, you know? But the reality is, a lot of these projects I had are just stuff that isn't relevant to what I want to be relevant in that fucking category. Like, dude, ball pythons it is like, you know, Donnie calls it a Pokemon trading card fucking game. You know what I mean? Because it's all about that high value card. And so I'm like, if I'm going to do something, I want to be relevant in it. And ball pythons, it's not easy to do because how much this shit's changing. You know what I mean? But I'll never get out of it. Like I'll always have a ball python project or something at least. You know what I mean? I'll never like, you know what I mean? But like, I know what you're saying. You got to get people to be like, oh man, what's he saying now? You know what I mean? And, you know, people love that shit. It's crazy.
Well, you gotta love what you do, in my opinion. And first of all, shout out to Donnie because I love that dude. That guy's the biggest balls, I think.
He's in Africa
right now.
He's in Africa.
I know he's in South Africa right now. I know. I messaged Dingo earlier. We're talking about something. But
Dingo, I love Dingo.
Yeah, dude, I love that dude. He's like of all. Okay, so I hang out with only comedians. Like all my friends are either reptile people or comedians, and Dingo is the funniest person I've ever met. Like funnier than all my comedian friends. He's just so funny. But yeah, Donnie, I think, has like the biggest balls. And if he wanted to quit nerd, he could be an internet sleuth or a investigator if he wanted to. But no, I get what you're saying, man. Like you have to love what you're into. Otherwise, what's the point of doing it? Like you can breed. Like I know a lot of people who breed leopard geckos because it's the easiest thing in the world to breed, but they have no interest. They don't want to touch these things, right? I breed leopard geckos too, but I love leopard geckos. I'm kind of a boring guy. I like leopard geckos and African fat tails and ball pythons and cresties and all the rest of the shit, right? I just saw that my chihuahuas are literally laying eggs right this second. I just watched one pop out of her butt right now. But I don't know. I like the normal stuff. Like it's fine. And also I have these berms that just popped out too. But I feel like if you lose the passion for the actual species, then maybe you shouldn't breed that species anymore. Yeah,
you know, and one thing I realized right away was how much I wanted to work with a lot more than just ball pythons, you know, because my knowledge behind the whole reptile world was very limited. I always knew there was a world out there for reptile people, but from when I grew up, reptile people were weird. You know, I mean, they were just like more like you just didn't know a lot of them. You know what I mean? And I was into that. Trust me, if I knew reptile guy as a kid, I wanted to be friends with that guy. But I just, first and foremost, my mom and dad didn't let me hang out with people like that. And I just, because they were always older. Like those people are always older. You know what I mean? And they were like long hair with ripped jeans and shit. And it's just a fucking time. What a time in my life. You know what I mean? But you know,
Kevin and Brian. It's so funny. You're describing Kevin and Brian.
Pretty
we
much.
both love those guys. We both love those guys. No disrespect. That's exactly who you're describing too.
To the T, man. I saw a picture of Kevin in 2001, and yeah, dude, that guy looked grungy, bro. Like he looked super like, holy shit, that was Kevin. You know what I mean? And who knows? Like, you know, he was discovering morphs and shit back then, and all sorts of crazy shit. But anyways, it was just such a different time for what the snake world was to me back then. But then once I tapped into things and once I found out how easy it was to get any fucking reptile you want to your doorstep, dude, that's when everything changed, Adam. Like once I found out fauna classifieds and fucking, what was it? You know, when I met Joe Switolsky, basically, this guy Joe Switolsky, you know, like love him or hate him, he gets some of the hottest shit that comes from Indonesia. And I built a relationship with this guy where he was like, hey, fuck it, man. I know you're going to want these condors. And I'm like, hey, dude, I don't have this money. He's like, I'm going to send it to you anyways. Just pay me whenever you're. I'm like, dude, why would you do this? But I was like, I'm not going to say no. And I have these condors to this day. I would never forget that. And I was just like, dude, what am I in right now? Like but like, it was awesome. It was awesome. But it was like, also like, dude, you're getting ahead of yourself right now. And that's kind of what happened to me after like in year 2, I had like over 20 species of pythons, bro. I had boega, colubrids. I had so much shit going on. Things were getting out, escaping. Like it was a fucking mess, dude. Like a complete mess. And so I definitely had to hold back a little bit and let some things go and make it more fun again. But man, like I'm saying, this game could come at you as quick as you want it to. So it's kind of how you have to be careful. I feel like, you know.
No, I agree. I think that everyone who gets into reptiles, they love reptiles, and it takes a while for them to kind of narrow down what their specialty is. Yeah. And even though, man, I'm kind of older, right? Like I'm entering my mid-30s, and I've been doing this for 13, 14 years, and I still feel like I'm kind of narrowing down what I'm doing. And I feel like a lot of that is like I talk about this a lot on my own channel, but I'm trying to move to the US, right? Which in Canada you would think is like an easy thing. You know, you just like, I live 20 minutes from the border, MJ, okay? Wow. I can literally throw a drone up in my garage.
Where you at?
Niagara Falls. Falls.
So you're by Michigan.
Right. Well, yeah, Michigan, Niagara Falls, New York, right? So Buffalo, that area, right?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I can throw a drone up in my backyard and see the border, okay? But they won't fucking let me move there. I make all my money from the US. Every dollar I make is from YouTube, Patreon, you name it. It's all US shit. And I pay all my money, all my tax money to Canada. Shouldn't you people be rolling out a red carpet for me in order to move there? You know what I mean? But think about it. Don't you people want my property tax? Don't you want me to pump out babies there and put a bunch of money into like, what is wrong with you people? But either way, I'm trying to move there, but I'm just kind of like, my business is at a standstill because I can't do anything. And that's kind of why, like, so berms and retics. I love breeding those things. However, it depends what state I move to. And I'm trying to move to Texas because there's like, you want a tiger? Ah, fuck it. Have a good time, you know? So I'm trying to move to a place where you can do whatever you want. But also, I just want to continue to move my business here. And it's just like, yeah. Well, you saw what happened in Florida, right? So in Ontario, it's kind of the same way where the law changes like that. There's no grandfathering in. So I'm just trying to be careful in narrowing down what I do.
So if I heard you correctly, you want to move to Texas if possible, but then keep things going in Canada too, or so you would have a little bit both, or what did you? I don't know. That's kind of what I heard.
Yeah. So that's not really what I said, but you're right. So maybe you have like this intuition where you read minds, because that is correct. Actually, I do want to move to Texas. I want to move my physical body to Texas and move my business there. However, I have cool things that you can't have, like Fiji banded iguanas, and I would like to keep those here, right? Because in my opinion, the coolest reptile in the industry, period, is Fiji banded iguanas, and I can't have them in the US, okay? So I want to have still a business here, but at the same time, I want to, everything that's legal here, I live in this city where everything is fine, and I want to move to a place where everything is fine too and move all of my reptiles. The problem is, in the US, you can't bring berms anymore, right? Since 2012, you can no longer bring berms in the US. So I have to start a brand new project. Retics are kind of different. I could still bring what I have now because this guy, I made this video like a month ago. This guy in Toronto, he gave me like $20,000 worth of retics, like here, just for free. And he told me not to breed them, but it'd be nice to bring those there and kind of like put them like the males and other projects and stuff like that. So I just want to continue on with this business, but just not in this country. It's just very difficult to move from this country to your country for whatever reason.
I mean, you think probably because of COVID and all that shit, right? You would say like that probably didn't help. I mean, I already know it's been difficult, but that probably made it a lot worse.
Well, you're in California, you know, right? Like Canada is North California. Like we have the same sort of restrictions and bullshit, but yeah, that didn't help for sure. So I started this process in June 2021. It was supposed to take 4 months. I'm still not there. It's going to be 2 years and 2 months. So yeah, dude, it's just very frustration. Like just roll out the carpet for me. I'll pay your fucking taxes, bro. Like you have homeless people. Let me help. You know, you've got roads and potholes.
Oh my God.
Help.
You know, what's crazy is like, I mean, I don't know, like the homeless population wherever I go in Texas is so smaller, bro, than what I deal with in Cali. Like it's not like you don't see a lot of homeless people in Texas at all. Maybe because the weather conditions, they can't survive out there. But I mean, you come to Cali, bro, it's bad. It's really bad. I mean, it's not like Oregon.
In California, in California, my favorite Daniel Tosh joke, 2006. I remember this joke. You people don't want to move to California because you love seasons. I live in a place where we skip all the shitty ones. So you guys have the nicest weather all the time. I live in Toronto, or the Toronto area, where 8 months a year it is so inhospitable that homeless people fucking freeze to death on the street. They literally sleep in bank lobbies, right? And still we have a homeless problem. I just want to move to a place where, like Austin, right? So the mayor of Austin was on Rogan's podcast 2 years ago. It was probably the most boring podcast I ever listened to. However, the idea was they have infrastructure there to take care of stuff like that, where we don't have that here and you do not have that there. And anywhere where it's a very like, I don't care about your politics. I'm not trying to make this a political thing, but anywhere where there's a very liberal type environment, there's nothing there to help homeless people because there's more money involved. More money will be gained to not take care of those people than to take care of those people, right? So I feel like that's why in Texas, when you go to Austin, San Antonio, Houston, wherever, Dallas even, where it does get kind of cold, you don't see that homeless population. So anyway, I just want to leave and live in a place where I don't have to wear a snowsuit for 8 months a year. Dude, it was Celsius to Fahrenheit. It was 48 degrees outside today, and I sat outside watching hockey because I just can't handle being inside anymore.
I mean, 48 though, compared to what you could normally get, is not bad. That's kind of like, that's doable for you guys, right?
So you live in San Diego area, right?
Yeah, 48 is like the coldest it gets where I'm at.
Okay. So
At
your
night.
humidity,
Yeah.
bro. So I live in Niagara Falls, right? So if you ever like look up Niagara Falls humidity, right? Like literally the mist from the falls coats people's cars in ice, where they have to literally get them towed into a heated garage, otherwise they can't drive them until April. Okay. So it is like 90% humidity in Celsius for the rest of the world, 5 degrees Celsius. Okay. So we're talking about like 45 degrees. It is so cold, bro. I would much rather it be -12 Fahrenheit at 0% humidity than 45 degrees at 90% humidity. It is so cold and so wet. It feels like you're wearing a wet blanket outside in a windy day. It's the worst. I don't know why I keep complaining about Canada, but here we are.
I don't blame you, man. Like I got people who are so prideful about the places they live, and some of these places are ice cold fucking places like you talk of, and they swear by that being the best place. They'd rather not live anywhere else. I'm like, you're full of shit. I was like, listen, there's no way you're fucking enjoying what you're going through right now. You know what I mean? And but listen, there's no place like home, I guess, to some people. Adam, he knows what home is, and it's Texas. So we'll get you there, buddy. Have you been to an Arlington NARBC yet?
No, so I've never been to an NARBC. I went to a Repticon for the first time last week. I did this.
Nice.
So I did this Florida trip, and it was supposed to be like just this Patreon only. Like I'm gonna go find a bunch of shit, and then none of my plans really worked out. But I went to the Kissimmee Repticon, and it was interesting because it was the first U.S. expo I've ever been to. The only ones I've ever been to were Toronto ones. It was small. There's a bunch of different stuff, but I'll definitely be at the Tinley one in October for sure. And
so, since we're talking about shows, I saw you at Animal Con last year, which was awesome. Shout out to Brian Barczyk, rooting for you, buddy. Animal Con, I feel like, is kind of a future for reptile shows, only because the future is YouTube, right? Like if you want to talk about what kids are wanting to be, more than even animal keepers, it's YouTube. Like that's kind of like the number one dream job for any kid who's like wanting to be answering a question like that. They say they want to be a YouTube star. This Animal Con is like the perfect connection for anyone who wants to figure out YouTube and animals. I want to know what you felt about Animal Con. You had a couple panels or a few panels that you were on. Do you feel like I'm kind of on target when it comes to like Animal Con being a future type show for the hobby and for what's important for any kind of future YouTuber and whatnot?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think of all the things I've done, and I'm pretty lucky because I live in like the Toronto area, so I get everything in Canada, the biggest stuff I get to do. However, the most fun I've ever had at any animal thing ever was Animal Con last year. I met more people, including you, right?
Right.
You came up to me at an after party and talked to me. I met Dingo, and I got to hang out with Brian, and Tanner and I have a secret handshake now. Like, it was the coolest thing I've ever done. I had so much fun. I would not miss it for the world. It's the same weekend. So I'm the official host of Canada Reptile Expos, okay? So in Canada, of all the Reptile Expos, I'm the guy. I do all the social media. I am missing the biggest show, the Canadian Reptile Breeders Expo, to go to Orlando. I will not miss it. Brian is my boy, okay? I love Brian. He's my hero, and we're also friends now. I would never miss it in a million years, but I agree. If you want to be anything in the reptile hobby, you have to go to Animal Con. That is the biggest thing. It is the most fun thing. It is the most rewarding thing I've ever done in this hobby.
How about the most rewarding? I don't want to say the most, but a big rewarding feeling you got to say, Adam, is when you finally figure out YouTube, right? And what I mean by that is when you finally get on a rhythm, because there's so many people who either knock YouTube or just blatantly are on it and say, YouTube's too hard. I can't fucking figure it out. First and foremost, how important do you feel like YouTube is to almost anything that you do? Like if you're an entrepreneur or self-business, if you work for yourself, first and foremost, how important is YouTube? Second, what did you do to get the ball rolling for yourself? I'm curious.
So I feel like if you own any business and you don't have a YouTube channel associated to it, you're the dummiest of the dummies. I feel it's the second biggest, bro, for real. I know it's a ridiculous thing to say, but it's free, and it's the second biggest search engine, right? So it just overtook TikTok again. So besides Google, it is the biggest search engine that there is. So if you are not on YouTube, give your head a shake. What are you doing?
Right.
So you have to be on it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. In terms of being successful on it, I feel like I got lucky. Like, don't get me wrong, I worked hard, and you can see that. I started posting videos in 2019, and I have never missed a video ever. Not once. I've had COVID. I've been sick. The whole thing. I never missed a video. It doesn't matter. So you just have to continue to post. And if you want to be big on YouTube, have a big personality, right? You see me talking exaggerated, whatever else. Get good at editing and just overall learn something new every time. Make sure you know your niche, right? Reptiles is something you've been interested in forever, and just get better every week. If you continue to get better, if you look at my first video, MJ, bro, look at my first video. My very first video on YouTube was in portrait orientation. So not even the right orientation. The first line I ever said in my YouTube video was, oh, it's colder than a mother-in-law's heart out there, but the reptiles are breeding, so I got to go. Like, it was just so not family friendly. It was stupid. It didn't make sense. It wasn't funny. And then over time, I just got better and better. And then now I'm the biggest reptile channel in Canada, and I'm very lucky that the algorithm picked me up. But at the same time, as long as you work hard, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yeah, you did good right off the bat, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, okay, you had maybe this one. I mean, and trust me, you could see the evolving for sure. Like, look, like this is his very first thumbnail, which is just a bunch of pictures.
Yeah, dude. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing.
But then your second video got 34,000 views. Like, it's fucking nuts.
So in Canada, like, so I'm very like, as much as I shit on Canada because I hate living here,
right.
I'm prideful of what we have here because we have, like, the best comedians, the best YouTubers, they're all from Canada, but they live in the US.
Right.
And in my opinion, so like Peter McKinnon and Matty Hapoya are the best guys to learn from if you want to learn how to do YouTube and thumbnails. They're both Canadian. They're both from Toronto. So I learned from those guys how to get better, and you just keep watching, right? Like for podcasting or for reptile breeding or whatever else. If you want to breed reptiles, and you watch Barchuk, Megaconda, whoever you want to, you watch these people and you get better. So that's just all I did. And like, there's that one video that's thumbnail you're looking at right now with me and Lord of Lion. And I had 2,000 subscribers, and Lord of Lion had 33,000. And I remember he said during that video, he's like, make sure you subscribe to this guy. He'll be bigger than me one day. And sure as shit, a year later, I overtook him, and he was like the inspiration, one of the biggest inspirations for me starting a channel in the first place.
Yeah.
And it's not like I don't care that I overtook his, because it's just numbers. Who gives a shit? But at the end of the day, I became relevant. That's what's important. So this guy who inspired me, I got to meet this guy. He gave me his seal of approval, and then I became relevant. And to me, that's like really important.
Yeah, and also it's just kind of like the topic of things. I mean, all your stuff kind of relates to first timers. You have a bunch of like learning about this animal type shit, and I think that helps. I think that's a huge catch. But yeah, man, I don't know. Some people just have a niche, and I just feel like whatever it is that you started and you evolved to is just kind of it's inspiring. Like, so whatever Lord, and Lord, it's funny you bring up Lord of Lion, because I'll never forget tapping into that guy's YouTube, and I was very impressed. I'm like, dude, this guy's sick. Like, he's good, and this is when he wasn't really even a reptile guy. Like, he was doing just his own shit, and it just, I kind of see how you took that over but for reptiles and but I mean, I don't know, man. All I gotta say is, like, all this stuff's catchy. I gotta say, do you ever feel like? Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think everyone has a talent in life,
right.
and
yeah, for sure.
My talent is screaming nonsense into an audience or a camera. So I think that I do thumbnails and titles well, and now I have a thumbnail guy, so I just kind of like, hey, this is what oh shit, I forgot to do that before. Anyway, so I give them like, here's 2 pictures, and here's what the title's going to be, and they make it. But before that, I did it myself, and I learned, Canva, and then I learned Photoshop and whatever. But the title is the most important part, title, thumbnail, and then just screaming into a camera is the next most important part. So everyone has a talent, and I think that if you take that talent and then you work on it, you'll be better than everybody else, because there's talent and then there's skill. Yeah. Talent is something that you're born with, and skill is something that you learn. So if you take a talent and you work hard at it, then it becomes skill. And I think that's why I became successful at what I do, because I realized that although, it's 260 or 270,000 subscribers now, I'm still not at the top. right? Eventually, maybe I'll get to that point where I'm at 1 million subscribers or whatever. But at the end of the day, I just want to continue to get as good at this as I can. Because if you asked me when I was 8, Adam, what do you want to do? I would have told you I want to be a stand-up comedian and I want to talk about reptiles and the internet, and I get to do both. So in my life, I feel like I'm a success.
And I honestly want to say, from what I've seen, man, this is pretty dreamy what you got going on. I got to ask you though, with the animals, with the animal content creating side of things, how much pushback have you gotten? And because we all know that there's know-it-alls and whatnot. Like, at what point did you have to deal with, like, all right, there's always going to be people chatting in comments. I got to know how to either just say fuck it, ignore it, or turn it into a positive, or do the MJ way and just fucking tear him a new asshole. So which is it? That's not the way, guys. Don't do what I do. But at what point did you kind of have to start dealing with that? Because I know that came for sure.
I think like right around like 20,000 subscribers, I think I got a little bit more pushback. And so first of all, I respect the way you do things, right? The way that you do things where you say fuck it and you just kind of go back at people. And I watched a lot of your podcasts, and I know you see me, right, commenting on your stuff.
Yeah, I love it. I love it when I see you, by the way. It makes me happy. So thank you for showing up.
Yeah, of course, man. Every time you see, like, and you recognize people, and I see that you really value your audience. And I think that there's other YouTubers who do that too. And one that comes to mind, even though we probably don't get along, is DBCB Exotics or Blue Exotics, or whatever this guy's name is now. And this guy, he, at the very beginning, hey, what camera do you use? Like shit like that. And I remember I said, I'm like, hey, don't swear in your content, right? Don't swear in your content. It's not going to be good for you. And all the people who do, like you and everybody else, you have kind of low, like you have this very, Mutation Creation is another great example where you have this very core audience where even though Mutation Creation has 50,000 or 60,000 subscribers, and you have, what do you have now? 7,000 or 8,000, right? Subscribers, right? Yeah. But you have a huge amount of people who watch you because you're real. And I think that there's a trade-off. So for me, I'm family friendly. Hey, what the heck is going on, guys, in my videos? Where really, if you know me, I don't talk like that. Yeah. Fuck, shit, piss. That's how I talk. However, you can't do that on YouTube because then you have a limited subscriber base and you can't talk about drama and all the rest of it. However, as soon as I started getting into like last month, I started to get into like spider ball pythons. And this was a thing that was like 3 years ago was the big thing, right?
Right.
Mutation Creation did one. Kevin did one. Go Herping, when he was still relevant, did one. Yeah. And they all blew up. And then I did one a month ago or 2 months ago, and I lost like hundreds of subscribers because my opinion was I am a dipshit with a camera and I have nothing to do with this industry. And if Kevin says it's okay, who am I to say that it's not? So you do what you want to do. I'll do what I want to do. And let's call it that. And just fence sitting like that lost me hundreds of subscribers. So I feel like you have to either take a hard stance here or a hard stance there. Yeah. And fence sitting in this hobby kind of kills you a bit.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. There's really no in between. You either got to be the real one, or you got to be the like the safe net that people are like the public relation or what is it? PC correct? Like politically correct, right? Which like one thing that I don't take offense to this anymore. I used to in the beginning, but people were like, hey man, have you ever just thought about becoming more child friendly with your podcasts? And I'm like, no, I didn't. Like, this is why I started podcasts, so I don't have to be child friendly, because not all of us are childs in this goddamn industry. A lot of us don't have children. I don't have, and at that time when I started, I didn't have no child, and I was a grown ass child. I still am a grown child, but I'm like, this is for me, dude. Like, I don't like tell your kids to go in the other room or don't watch it. You know what I mean? And that was my attitude. But definitely, like, I got to tell you, Adam, it's hard for me to be, hey guys, welcome. You know what I mean? Like that right there, I could feel like a vein popping in my head. You know what I mean? So, but also I do know that, hey man, it's okay to, because I one thing I love about my life right now, I am evolving. Like, I see certain things that, like, I don't like, little habits that I had. I'm seeing like, okay, that's not the move anymore. You know what I mean? I'm also seeing that, like, I don't want to say I don't want to be such a potty mouth anymore. You know what I mean? But I also know how, like, all right, maybe you can avoid the F word here or there. you know, because it's one thing that people say they love about me is like, dude, MJ, you're on point with so many things, but sometimes your delivery kind of like, you know, because I might say fuck right after it or something, you know, or I might say an aggressive word behind what I'm saying. And usually that kind of fucks up your point sometimes by the way you cuss. But that's just, dude, I feel more safer being myself. Like, some people get me, some people don't. And I feel like the people that don't get me, like, there's a lot of people I don't get. Like, have you ever met somebody you're like, dude, I don't get that person, man. Like, no offense, but I do not get this person. I don't wish harm on you. I don't wish you anything bad, but I don't get you. That's normal. Isn't it normal to not get certain people? So that's my take.
Yeah, man, I think too, like, there's certainly, you're not going to get, that's one thing.
Right.
But
even like,
yeah,
dude, Adam, even if you do go out of your way for them to get it, they don't get, like, it's like they don't want it. And it's like, I knew that right away. Like, I remember getting liked by so many people that when I would find someone where I'm like, oh, well, this guy's kind of treating me different, I would just be like, well, I don't want to go out of my way to make this guy want to like me. Either you like me or you don't like me. And I can't tell you how many people were like, hey, MJ, I just want to say, man, like, looking around a couple of years ago, I didn't like, you know, I don't want nothing to do with you, man. I got to say, you're a pretty cool guy. And, you know, like that's people will get it. Like, either they eventually start fucking with you or they don't. I just don't have I sleep very good at night is all I got to say. Like, if you fuck with me or don't, either way, my head is in the same spot every night and I'm drooling, having a good sleep. You know what I mean? I just don't like, and here's another thing. I feel like people get offended when I say I don't care, but I don't care. Like, I don't, like, you have options in life. You know, it's like kind of having someone saying, hey man, I have this awesome Thai food restaurant. Why aren't you eating with me every day? Like, dude, come on. Hey man, you know, it's like, dude, you have options in life. Let people do their thing is all I got to say. Right. So I don't know. Either way, I feel I give you props because, man, I run a business, dude. Like it or not, I run a business. Definitely when it comes to business side of things, there's a time and place where you just keep your mouth shut and you just do what's right by your business, right? And I feel like my Achilles heels is potentially fucking that up at some point just because, you know, customers suck sometimes, bro. Like, customers are just, you know, but it's kind of like you got to eat a lot of things. And one thing I do want to say that I will always eat is if something goes wrong with an animal shipment, like if I send you an animal, right, and that animal is either sick or died or anything, I will own that shit right off the bat. Just because I feel like that's my position. Like, it's a very unfortunate, but I'll take the loss, right? Only because a lot of customers, that's not the case for them. I mean, how many stories have you heard of customers? I mean, you heard recently, right, of that whole Nido talk I mean, what do you think of that? Of like somebody getting sold a snake from a bigger breeder who potentially has Nido and has been selling a lot of snakes to people. And then like all these stories started popping up. Like, what do you like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of shit. What do you think of that, Adam?
So I think that I got kind of like this reputation as a fence sitter because of this spider ball python thing. I think before, like, honestly, like, I don't know, like, I'm pretty abrupt and in your face about my opinion. But in terms of like that Nido thing, it's like, if he said he didn't know, he didn't know. And if you sell something with like Nido or crypto or whatever, you have to tell that person. And if it comes out later that you knew and you didn't tell that person, well, then you're a piece of shit because you just sold somebody something that's going to destroy their entire collection. Because if you have Nido or crypto and all of a sudden you sell a python and then you quarantine the whole thing and you find out 3 months later when it's in the rest of your collection, well, then the remedy for the rest of your collection is euthanasia. So right. If you put yourself in a position where you're selling somebody something that you know is infected, is going to possibly or probably infect the other person's collection, the entire collection, well, then you're a piece of shit because you just gave a death sentence to every one of those animals, and we should all be in this because we love animals in the first place.
And here's another thing that kind of like I let get out of hand is when I'm so emotionally wrapped into an animal topic and we're talking about someone who's a known neglector. Like we're talking about someone who's known to be a piece of shit. I feel like, oh, MJ, because you're backing up the animals, you can say whatever you want, but no, you can't. That's what's fucked up. Because at the end of the day, I come from a place where I'm hurt for these animals. Okay. I'm hurt by these animals getting neglected. And what does it take for somebody I don't care how big I would feel like the bigger the name, the easier it is for that person to fall down if they're getting caught by all this neglect and stuff. But no, man, like you could show the most craziest evidence on somebody. Okay, yeah, the cricket's backing me up. You could show the most craziest evidence on somebody and they could still stick around in here if they want to. Like, that's why the whole, oh, let's cancel them. Dude, that person, you got to want to cancel yourself to get canceled. Like meaning you have to take yourself out because you can't handle all the hate. That's getting canceled, right? But technically somebody cancels himself unless it's like a TV deal or something, or if you're signed by a fucking mate. If you're like doing this and YouTube doesn't take you, then you're not like, do what you want to do. Like, who's going to stop you, right? But
no, I agree. And like, especially with you too, like you are pretty abrupt and in your face with your podcast. And like, even things like, so I've been watching a few of your episodes, and like the one that I watched recently. So Garrett Hartle and I are friends. I love that guy.
I love Garrett too.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I know you do. And of all the people in this industry, he is the man. But the way you went at him in your podcast made me realize, like, you actually do give a fuck, because the Samson thing, right? Like, where you're talking about, you know, like, you shouldn't send blah, blah, blah. And you kept on it, where I think personally, I probably would have let it go a long time ago, but I respected the fact that you kept on that specific topic. So you obviously do care. And I think most people don't care enough. And it's, as long as my dollar, right? Like, I think everyone votes for their dollar, but I think everyone protects their dollar too. So if there's somebody who maybe not be that great for the community, whatever, but you're making money because you have their animal, or you're selling their animal, you're shipping their animal, or whatever, I think that kind of takes precedent. And that's what I loved with that podcast in particular, which was like about a week and a half ago, is that you and Garrett both don't compromise for your dollar. He doesn't ship stuff and send stuff to people who are neglectful of animals, and neither do you. And the whole conversation was like very eye-opening to a lot of people, in my opinion.
You know, listen, I got out of my element because I forgot who I was talking to. Like Garrett, like, first and foremost, as I asked you and I asked all my guests, this is proven. I ask all my guests, is there anything topic wise you rather not talk about? And like, you know, if you're like, well, what do you talk? I'll bring up certain things, right? I was green lighted on that fucking, you know what I mean? Now, mind you, I was not trying to make a whole episode out of it, but I wasn't drinking alcohol, completely sober, maybe a little high, but I'm high all the time. But I'm just saying, like, I was very, like, the animals get me this worked up, you know what I mean? And Garrett Hartle, a neglector? No, I've been to his fucking place. It's superb. The guy, there's no other Garrett Hartle in this game. Straight up. He's the man, you know what I mean? But also runs Reach Out Reptiles. So it's like sitting down with I don't want to say like the president of the United States, but sitting down with somebody where like every question has to not be careful, but like it puts him in a fucking weird position. You know what I mean? Because how deep he is with a lot of stuff. And mind you, I don't know, like I'm very cool with Garrett. Like, me and Garrett have had heart-to-hearts over the phone, and I felt like we were having a heart-to-heart. We were having a heart-to-heart. Like, it was a real friend-to-friend conversations, but like I was talking to him like if we weren't live, you know. But listen, I'd much rather it be like that. As much as it hurt, like, trust me, when I went back and watched it, it was cringy for me, because I'm like, dude, you're grilling your boy right now. But only because how much I know that guy Samson is not good for this. You know what I mean? And I don't give a fuck who's buddies with him, who's fucking, oh, he's not this. I don't care. You are what you are. And that's it. There's no coming back from killing puppies. And like, that's it. Like, I'm sorry, you're not. And I don't care if a judge hasn't sentenced you. It doesn't matter. You're in news clippings with these allegations. I'm okay. That's all I need to see, buddy. And mind you, all the other pictures, like, dude, the reason why, and I'm trying so hard to let Jay go, meaning like let the guy be. I'm doing my best now. But mind you, I have videos. I have PTSD memories of shit I saw at his facility that fucks with me. Like, it really fucks with me. If I want to get into a dark place, I could think about those that day, and I'll get really, really down and depressed. I'll actually get worked up. I get really upset, right? But whatever, man. And so what I'm saying is, this Samson guy has shit like that attached to him. Like, I'm getting sent these pictures of things in freezers, and like it's just fucked up, you know. And I love animals, Adam. Like, that's what it is. It's kind of like, you know, you know, a child. Like, I like, these are like my children. I mean, obviously they're not like an actual human child. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of weird because how much I feel like am I overly in love with these animals? I almost have to ask myself, like, MJ, are you weird because how much you fucking want to stand up for these animals? Like, am I really
MJ, bro, listen, we are all weird because we all love animals too much. And I agree with everything that you said because, like, the thing with Jay, like, I kind of went in on him in my last video about, my opinion about reptile YouTubers or whatever. And I talked to the guy at AnimalCon, and I have mad respect because I do believe he loves reptiles. I also believe that he loves money. And I think that there is a battle with that guy. And this is like a crazy thing that I've never said on the internet before. However, I think it's very clear that if you are pumping food in animals that much and you're ripping babies and you're producing that many reticks, there's obviously a monetary gain that is compromised with what is ideal for those animals. And I do think that money takes over in a certain respect. And with everything else that you said too, I just feel like I also love reptiles and animals in general to that extent. So it's always like a breath of fresh air. And I always vet these podcasts, right? Like obviously yours is one of the bigger podcasts and one of the more legit ones. So will go on yours. But with all these other ones, I kind of like vet them. And there's these other ones too that I just won't because it's, I don't know, animal abuse and all the rest of it.
I didn't get that. Could you
fucking silly? But I don't know. Like I feel like like you have to love reptiles to be in this industry, and I feel like if you don't love reptiles and you're not in it for the right reasons, then just get out. Just do something else. At the end of the day, nobody is getting super duper rich except for Emily and Brian and Jay. That's it. And maybe Kenan and maybe a few other guys, but nobody is getting super rich from doing this. So just go do something else. It's so much easier to make money in a different industry than this. So if you're not interested in these animals and the livelihood of these animals and the greatest life for these animals, then just get the fuck out because you're doing more harm than good. So I think that you and I are on the same page on this subject.
I mean, it's a scary thing because here I am doing what I got to do to not rely on animal money, like meaning like I don't want to have to rely on my animal sales to pay for my living, but that's the case. I don't give a fuck. It is what it is. That's what's getting me by. It's a business, right? But I'm also doing what I have to do to make sure I can balance that. Like I've been going so hard on the podcast, hustling for sponsors and doing everything I can to make this more of the business too. So I'm not just putting everything in one basket, but dude, if this side of the business were to take off where I had millions of subscribers and everything that I put out determined how much money I made, bro, because I love money too, Adam. That's the thing. As much as I'm Mr. fucking, I'm animal guy. No, I love money. Okay. I was in the drug game.
You and me both, brother. I love money too.
I love money. So like if all I got to say is, man, that realm of people that you just mentioned, nobody could really know what they're feeling or what they're thinking because that kind of money that they're making. You probably have an idea because you're in that, like you get it. Like you understand, like not a lot of people understand. Like some people look at a YouTube account like, oh my God, he has 1 million subscribers. He's a millionaire. No, it's not how it works. Okay. Like all these views, like so many things matter. Right. And Brian, Jay, Emily, even yourself, like you guys know that the likes, the comments, so many, like all that shit needs to be cracking off. Right. But man, like imagine, I don't know, like I just, that whole word of being greedy, right? I don't know how YouTube can make somebody so greedy where it doesn't give a fuck what they need to do to get those likes or views. They're going to do it, and I feel like Jay's crossed that line a long time ago, unfortunately. You know what I mean? Brian, on the other hand, even though sometimes they're like, whoa, dude, like really, you went to Petco with that? But like, it's like, come on, Pat, like, he knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? So it's just, I don't know. Like, I felt like it's not an easy job to walk. That's not an easy rope to walk because YouTube has made things even harder for animal content to crack off. I feel like, right? Like animal content is not as easy to pop off as it once was when you first got in. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like it's a lot different now. Like it's not like viral shit with animals is not as easy to do for Jay and Brian and all these people nowadays. I feel like.
No, I feel like they ate up that market. And like, I think the difference too is, so in my own content, I feel very strongly, I'm 100% sure I could be at 1 million subscribers, right, but I don't get bit by snakes on the internet because in my opinion, snakes are scary for most people. Yes. And what makes them scary is the sharp end. So if you constantly see big animals striking and biting people, then you're going to be afraid of that animal. I don't mean to be an asshole, but that is Jay's content, right? Jay's content is getting bit by retics and bit by this and bit by that and whatever. That's fine. But I will never do that, even though I know I could make twice or 3 times as much money if I did. Because at the end of the day, when I was a kid, if you asked me, hey, what's your goal? It's to make people love reptiles. And people are not going to love things that they're scared of. And the reason that people watch a lot of his videos, again, not to be an asshole, but to be truthful, is because he's getting bit by those things. So it's like big and scary and whatever else. I am not willing to do that. And I think Brian did that a lot in the past, and him and I have had in-person conversations about this, and he doesn't do that anymore. And I don't have a single bad thing to say about Brian or Emily, by the way, but since Brian, I think, is kind of like the top echelon, bigger than Jay, in my opinion, in terms of importance in this industry, and there wouldn't be a me, and there probably wouldn't be a you or anybody else if it wasn't for Brian. And I don't have an issue. I mean, things were different in 2008 and 2013 and 2015 and 2016 when he was doing those things. And now he's not doing them. The difference is Jay still is. And I know he has a huge fan base. I'm going to get a lot of hate and whatever. And I do think he loves animals. But I think he loves money more. And you and me love both. But you and I both love animals more, because if we didn't, we wouldn't be doing this. You'd be getting bit by snakes on the face right now and posting those videos in long-form content rather than doing long-form interviews with people like me, because it's more
I would
to do that.
I would be single with a bunch of venomous snakes, holding them on video, if that's what I cared about, if I wanted to have money. So,
right. It's easy to make money in this industry. And like you said, it's not as easy as it was to go viral, but those guys did it, and they have the formula. And if I wanted to, I could just go, do these reaction videos where I have a big boa and a friend of mine, hey, I like the size of your python. And like, I just come up behind some dude, you know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those, like, there's so many ways that you could make money and make it like this clickbait shit. But at the same time, are you doing anything for the industry in the first place? No. Yeah. Are you doing a detriment to the industry in the first place? And the answer is yes, a lot of the times. And that's just, I'm not willing to do it for a couple of bucks. And by a couple of bucks, I mean literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. But still, it just doesn't, I don't know. You sleep like a baby at night, and so do I. And I don't want to lose that.
I really do sleep. And that's the thing, man. Like, there's people out there who like can't go to sleep because of their thoughts at night. And I God bless those people, man. There must be a lot of fucked up things happening for you to be up at night with those thoughts in your heads. And I'm just not one of those people, you know what I mean? So, and I could be, but I'm not. And if I was, I would switch it up. Like, if I had that kind of regimen at night where like things in my head, like, dude, I would switch something up in my life immediately. But dude, I go to bed great. I do, because man, I am who I am. I'm an honest husband. I work hard, and yeah, there are things where I'm like, well, maybe you shouldn't have said that, but you said it. I feel better. Listen, we've just got to just be, I don't know. Like I said, I feel a lot better being myself, but also being myself also makes me realize things I do want to change about myself because of that. Like, I've been that type of person where it's like, MJ, you could have avoided that. Like, a lot of people warned you about this happening, and it still happened, but then it happens, and I go, oh, now I'll learn. You know what I mean? So I go, is that being hard-headed, I think? Or like, what do they say? What, like, fuck, like, you didn't listen. I don't know. That's me. I don't listen. And then it happens. I go, oh shit. That's what you're talking about. I get it.
Man, like, have a pure heart and don't lie to people. And that's it. I think that's the important thing. And like, everyone does things that they either regret, or in my case, I've never done anything that I regretted, but there's things I didn't do that I regret, right? Like these opportunities I didn't take or whatever else. So nobody's perfect, but at the same time, as long as we're in a very different YouTube space than everybody else, because everybody else, oh, you did this prank and it didn't go well and this guy got upset. Like, who gives a shit? But at the same time, like, how many reptiles, like, there's, as the lights go off, very apropos, there's 100 reptiles behind me, right? And if I don't take care of them to my best ability, then that is what's going to haunt me at night. And I don't ever have those issues because I take care of things, and I hired somebody to help me take care of things too. So now I'm paying thousands of dollars a month to make sure that these animals are all, taken care of. And you take care of your animals, obviously. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting in front of them. You wouldn't be showing them on the internet. So as long as you're taking care of other lives, then who gives a shit in the first place? It's
another thing too, Adam. I love and respect. I mean, because listen, I don't give a fuck about how many numbers you have as a follower, first and foremost. Okay. I don't care how many podcasts that you've been doing consistently or how good you are at talking. If you are a part of something, AKA the reptile industry, and you show nothing what you do by these reptiles, like there's not been one video of your own collection. Like, show me what you do with the reptiles. I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to even respect anyone who doesn't show off their own collection. Right. And I feel like this is why I get so like easy on the sticky, like, you know, being known as a sticker trader person. Like, you don't want all these sticker trader friends. You want to work with people who are actually, and I'm not telling you who to be friends with, but I'm just saying, if you want to be on a different level with people who are working with animals, well, then make sure you look at their animals, make sure you look at their projects and what they're doing by the animals, not with what they're saying on social media. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of powerful influences, I feel like, and a lot of influences are just based off what's said on a social media platform. And then there's actual influences based off what people do by their actual animal. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like I said, I just feel like if you are going to be in the reptile industry, well, then what's your work behind the reptiles, or what are you doing, or show me. Like, that's why I have all this shit behind me, because this is only like a quarter of my room. You know, I got everything else in front of me too. So that's what I feel like keeps me relevant of what I do. Like, I feel like until all this goes to shit, or unless I'm known as a Samson or some shit, I'm always going to be relevant. I'll always be relevant, no matter what my mouth gets me in, what kind of trouble, because of how much I love my animals and how good I take care of my animals. I'm always going to be relevant. You know what I mean? So, and I'm proud. I mean, just as much as you're proud to have your animals behind you, I'm so proud of my animals. I love it. It's my biggest flex. I feel like is my.
No, I agree, dude. If you're one of those people that doesn't show your animals and I think I was kind of guilty of that for a while, because the top fives are like easy. You know,
Right.
you write a list or whatever, and maybe in that episode or 2 episodes or 3 episodes in a row, then I don't have those animals. You know, I do micro reptiles and then whatever. But the bigger my collection gets, the more stuff that I have that I can actually show off. And I haven't done a reptile room tour in a couple of years. But simply the reason is, so we bought this house, we're renovating this house, the whole thing, and it's just not ready yet, because like the actual room isn't ready yet. But in all my reels on Instagram and TikTok and, you know, the shorts on YouTube and even like parts of the video, the long form videos, I show what I have, you know, and like when I look around, I'm very proud of what I have. And I think that if you're not proud of what you've amassed in your collection, then you're doing something wrong in general.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I took a break, right? I took a 2-week break, and I didn't realize how much I was lacking on my own love for the animals. And what I mean by that, like, dude, I was pumping out a vlog every single week. Like the vlog, I was vlogging on YouTube before the podcast. It was all about showing off my animals. And when I finally took that week off and I was editing my first vlog, I was getting like goosebumps and like excitement, because I'm like, dude, I forgot how much I love just fucking vlogging my own animals. I'm like, dude, this is like inside me. I was like, dude, I could say, if I want to, I could say, fuck the podcast and just vlog and just fucking just say, fuck it. I don't need to open my mouth no more. And I'll just show my animals off. And I feel like that would be great. Obviously, I'm not going to do that because I love the podcast. I'm not going to let this is inspired.
And you're good at it. And it's, of all the podcasts, it's one of the big ones. Like, I've been telling people earlier, like, hey, of all the podcasts, there's 2 big ones I haven't done, yours and Mutation Creation. And I get to do one today. So it's kind of like there's one left. Like, I've done Barchuck's and everybody else's. And yeah, man, like, you're kind of like a staple in the industry, in my opinion, in terms of podcasts. And
thanks, man.
Someone asked me, dude, like, hey, why don't you start a podcast? Well, first of all, I don't want to compete with everybody else. And second of all, I think it's kind of thankless for what you do, because in my opinion, you and Billy and Brian are kind of like the big ones, and you have 7,000 subscribers, right? That whatever you're at, right? It's like, it's a thankless job. Like, you deserve way more than what you get. So what am I going to do? Create more competition for this industry that's already underviewed? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So I don't understand how you and Billy especially don't have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, like, you know, one thing I do, even though me and Billy we're not the closest of friends anymore, I still respect him and wish him the best. But like, Billy inspired me not to give a fuck. Like, I remember looking at Billy's platform and I'm like, dude, this guy's like, you know, one of the big guys, right? And then I remember him just like, fuck all the haters. And I'm like, holy shit. I was like, dude, this is okay. I was like, dude, this guy, he does it. I was like, well, then I was like, dude, and that was the first thing that ever related to me on this level was when I heard somebody at that level say, because honestly, like, think about it. You work so hard to put out so much content and work so hard by all these animals. Somebody wants to hate, you know what I mean? And that's no matter how good you are, no matter how perfect of a worker you are, someone's always going to hate and they're always going to talk shit. Billy's like me. There's some shit he just doesn't let slide. And so when I saw that was okay, it was like a fresh of breath air. And I was like, dude, and mind you, like no one, like it's like him, like, you know, his thing was my channel, my content, like this is my shit. Like this isn't sponsored by NBC or MSNBC or anything, or CNN. Like nobody could stop this but me. So that's why, you know, I always related to Billy, because his shit, like it's his, no one's paying his bills. No one's paying for my like that's why I'm like, hold on. Who could pull the plug on all this right now? Nobody but me. You know what I mean? So, but a lot of people let other people's opinions get in their heads. Like a lot of people will be like, oh my God, this is what's being said about me. Or this is like, you know, and mind you, you know how many times like I don't give a fuck what's being said about me, but all these other people do. So I have these DMs full of screenshots like, hey, MJ, did you see this? MJ, see it? And I'm like, dude, just so you know, I appreciate you looking out, but I don't give a fuck about this. And if that person keeps sending me shit, I know they're trying to get me worked up. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, man, like, mind you, I mean, that, what I was trying to say, that 2-week break was so important to me because everything is about the animals. I love the people, man. People are what makes the animals enjoyable. I'm not gonna lie. If I just had the animals and nobody to share with, I don't think this would be as much fun. Like the people is what makes it. You know what I mean? And the people is what we need. I came into this game saying I don't want friends. Like, dude, that was my attitude. I had a couple big names backing me up. Barchek was one of them. Miguel Garcia. Those are my boys. So I was like, fuck, dude, I don't give a fuck about you. You don't want to be my friend? It's okay. Look who my friend is. But that's not the way. You know what I mean? I want to attract more people because I want more people in this. I want this game to go further and further. And how do we go further, Adam? With more people, right? So at the end of the day, we need to learn how to connect. Now, we're all not going to connect, but even if you don't want to connect with that person, we're still connected. Like we're like them or not, we're all connected because of by these animals. Does that make sense? So,
well, it's a small community too. That's the other thing, right?
It's not that big,
like,
right? It's not that big,
right? It's very small. Like even Animal Con, there's a whole bunch of people, and this year it's gonna be. I think this year's gonna be the biggest year it's ever gonna be for obvious reasons.
Can't wait.
Right, me too, man. I can't wait. But at the same time, it's very small, and this is how I know. So I go to Animal Con, and I'm kind of like an introvert, and I have a little bit of anxiety issues, and I don't like talk to people. But I go to Animal Con, and I'm at an after party, and you show up, and you come up to me before I come up to you. Hey, I know who you are, blah, 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 come on the podcast. And Billy comes up to me, or not Billy, or Serpa. Tanner comes up to me, hey, you're the pickle guy, shit like that. And Dingo comes up to me, and it's like all these people who I thought were like, how in the world would you know who I am? And they all knew who I was. And at the time, like, sure, my channel was kind of big, but it wasn't as big as it was now. And I know who all these people are. And even like smaller channels with like 2,000 or 5,000 or 20,000 subscribers, I knew who all of them are. So we all know who each other are. And it's this very small community, and it's very tight. And nobody hates, well, I mean, there's Donnie in the community. But besides that, nobody hates anybody. And I say this with all due respect because I love Donnie. But there's no drama besides very few channels who create that, or rightfully so. And I did have a kind of confrontational thing at Gatorland with another creator. But in terms of the people who are actually in it for the love of the animals, everybody knows who each other is, and everybody respects each other. And even though I'm at 250 plus, and there's a 6,000 viewer, whatever, subscriber channel, I'll talk to that person the same way I would talk to Brian or Dingo or Kevin or whoever else. Because at the end of the day, everybody got into this for the love of reptiles. If you got into it for the right reason in the first place, and all of those who didn't, and all of those who thought I can get bit by this or put an arrow in the head of this iguana for this, those people weed themselves out, and they don't show up to these things in the first place.
I have to ask you, Adam, because, you know, exactly, we were just talking about, you know, certain people in the industry that have certain, you know, like Jays and shit, right? We were, you know, I got to ask you, like, when does when does somebody open their mouth and when they don't? Meaning, I have a podcast, so I have so many reasons to be like, let's talk about it, right? But there's a lot of people who don't have a podcast, but things happen to them. And mind you, I have people who come to me, okay, and they go, MJ, dude, this is what happened. And I go, well, why don't you go tell the person? I don't want to make a big deal. Well, what do you mean? And let me give you an example, right? Shout out to my boy, Brandon Wheeler, I don't know if you know Brandon Wheeler is, but his name's Morelia House. Mm-hmm. He's been around for years, okay? I respect the guy highly. And he's in love with certain species. I don't want to tell you too much information because I don't want other people to connect the dots out there. But there's a species of snake that he loves that I keep, and he's always been wanting to work with this species. And then he finds somebody, pretty big name, who has this quote unquote species available, and it was labeled captive born and bred, right? So he hits me up and says, MJ, look who has this for sale. And I go, I was like, does he have pictures of the parents? No. Is there pictures of the babies like hanging out? No. I'm like, then buddy, that's not a captive born and bred. I was like, how much is it? And he said like $1,200, which is like $1,200 for a captive born and bred is like, that's like a friend price right there. Like, meaning if I had a captive born and bred, Adam, and $1,200 would be your price, and nobody would like, that's like bare minimum, right? And so this guy, this quote unquote person selling it for $1,200, it just didn't compute. I was like, no, if this person really produced this snake would be like $2,300, right? So I'm like, listen, buddy, you need to accept, first and foremost, you don't have any evidence that this snake was produced here, and you don't have, and the price, that it just doesn't compute. I was like, but if you feel good about it, go ahead. I was like, but just be ready. Okay. Sure enough, this guy got sent 2 animals. They both regurged on him. They both puked on him. And that right there with this species, there's no going back. Once this species pukes, nobody on this planet has ever said, oh, I got this snake to bounce back after a puke. It's a death wish. It's right. So he got sent 2 of these that happened to him. Right. And so he's just like, dude, fuck it. It's down the drain. Right. And that's a big boy of thing to do for Brandon, because Brandon's been in this game long enough. He's not drama. Like, he's not going to be like his personality isn't going to the platform, FBI, Facebook, and saying, this is what happened. Right. Even though something inside of me kind of wants him to, but that's not his thing. And I respect that. Right. But when should somebody speak up? Like, I mean, especially somebody who's just, because imagine if Brandon had no experience, just got in, saw a podcast. Oh, I love emeralds. Let me buy this. And this is my very first snake. Oh my God, why did it puke? Oh my God, why it die? You know what I mean? Like, and imagine that case happening over and 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 over again. Like, you want to talk about shooing people away. Like, so anyways, I don't know. Like, when does somebody speak up, Adam? You feel like, like, I don't know. Sorry.
So, well, I think it's difficult too, because I think we're kind of safe in this industry from being canceled. I think you don't get canceled unless you want to be.
Unless you're over.
And this is gonna right. And clip this shit, because it's gonna be so uncomfortable and so unpopular. But I feel like there's certain people in this industry that have viewers and have fans. And when people come up to me, I feel like I have fans. These people like me. They love me. They're wearing my merch. They want my autograph, shit like that. There's people in this industry who have a lot of views and make a lot of money. But when people come up to them, they have viewers. They don't know what you've been doing, how long you've been doing it. I saw this one video and that's it. So I feel like it's my duty in a certain aspect to call these people out. And that's what I do in these videos about your favorite YouTuber, this, that, the other thing. So you kind of have to call people out. And I think like the biggest inspiration, or like the biggest example of this between viewers and fans, is I listened to this podcast, and Andrew Tate made a great example. There's people in this industry like Steve Irwin. Those people have fans. Steve Irwin has fans.
True.
I'm getting a portrait tattooed on me forever about that is Steve Irwin's face. Okay. There are people in this industry that Jay, whoever, they don't have fans. They have viewers. These people are inspirations to them, right? So what he used is he has fans because he doesn't have a TikTok, whatever, but he's the most Googled man on earth. And there's guys like Logan Paul who have, thousands of views, but have you ever seen a Logan Paul tattoo or band. Like, no, like no one gives a fuck about that person.
Because you're 12.
0. Right. No one fucking cares. It's just that is what the algorithm pushes.
Right.
So I feel like if you are an industry staple, like I kind of feel like I am because I've been told by so many people that I am, and I'm so grateful and lucky to be that I have to push back on those type of people. And that's why when I see these like people put an acrylic box, a sand gecko and a crab and a Pac-Man frog and they fight, like I'll call that person out and try to get that channel taken off the air. So I feel like it's the influence that you have, and you're there, in my opinion, that you have to, and you do call these people out. It just, if you're so small, it's almost like more risk than reward. So I think it's individual for everybody. So if you're a small channel and you're not calling out whoever you think is bad, don't feel bad about it. But I mean, I see the numbers behind my channel, and if I don't say things about channels that I think that are not good for the community, then yeah, I don't feel good about it. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I feel like my position is like, as I'm growing and my you know, my peers and my surroundings, like I just, and mind you, they're a lot, you know, they're older, they've been in the game a lot longer than I have. I'm like the only one amped up around shit like this. Like I feel like a lot of people, after I do go on certain rants and you know, whoever does get offended, on the back end of things, I'm getting people who are like, dude, MJ, like whatever you just said hit home so crazy. I just don't ever want to say it. And I go, well, that's cool. You know, at least I fucking said it. And I don't know. It's just like, have you seen that Donald Trump mean? He's like, somebody had to do it. I'm the chosen one. I feel like, you know, man, because dude, I come from a good place, Adam. Like sometimes, yeah, it's like, whoa, MJ, chill. But like, it's all coming from a place of like, I mean well, like, and it's because the animals, like anything I start getting worked up off of relates, the root was the animals. You know what I mean?
Well, I can tell too. So here's the thing with you is, even though that you and I have the same experience with Garrett, where we've had like very personal conversations with this guy, and we both love this guy, right?
Yeah.
You still pushed back on this guy over and over and over again. And that's like, you asked me to do the podcast and I would have said yes to either way. But then I started to do my research on your podcast to make sure I knew what you were about. And then I watched that one. And that was one that stuck out to me because this is a guy who's like loved in the community. Nobody dislikes this guy. We both love this guy. We both have respect. And you still push back on this guy. So I feel like what you're doing is exactly what you should be in your position because you're respected in the community. You have all these sponsors. Everybody knows who you are. People ask me all the time, how come you've never been on Trap Talk? Literally, man, I have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and people come up to me, they've never met me before, and the first question they ask is, how come you've never been on Trap Talk? Mm-hmm. And
I love that.
Like, I hope that makes you smile, because to me, that's
great. I love
fucking hilarious, because it's like, you're right. Of all the things in the world that you could ask me, you're asking me why I'm not on this podcast in particular. So, and I agree, but it's like, I think you're doing the right thing because you push back and you have no fear, and more people need to have that mindset. And most people don't. Most people are very conservative and I don't want to get canceled. And I have this, why am I going to push back? And with you, I don't feel that at all. You push back and it's very eye-opening and refreshing. It's a breath of fresh air, honestly.
Yeah. Because like I said, if it's one thing that would have kept me up at night with Garrett is if I didn't get the answer. Like I just didn't feel like I was getting an answer, right? And so, and I felt like it wasn't about people or whoever the fuck saying, well, why'd you let Garrett just like smooth his way out? No, it was just because I was curious, trying to know. Like I wanted to know, and that's why I didn't let it go. You know what I mean? And mind you, it's just yeah. Like I mean, fuck, Garrett. I told Garrett how important, and he knows this obviously, and I mean, I don't have to tell him this, but how big of an influence that he is with not only the super dwarf market, but just at all the shows. Like he's the best. Like he's the face of this industry. And you know, like I said, somebody every now and then again, like I said, I feel like there was a lot of people appreciated Garrett having to go through that. I really do. I had a lot of people come to me and say, dude, that must have been so tough to ask Garrett that shit, but I fucking love you for doing that because it made me respect Garrett more. Because even though Garrett was in a fucking awkward position, he still stood there. Like he could have just left. He could have said, fuck this, I'm out. he stood there and went with it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, listen, I this show could get realer than Swiss cheese, if you know what I mean. You know, that's, I don't want it to be known as a fake show ever, you know, because that's the thing. It's, a lot of shit's cookie cut and just like, well, you know my story about my very first podcast I was ever on, right? About how I was told not to smoke, not to cuss, and they told me all these rules, and I was like, what? Like, we're all grown-ups. But it was like, hey, yeah, you know, but you know, you never know who's watching. But I'm like, yeah, but like, what about Howard Stern and fucking Joe Rogan? Like, then like there's departments for all this shit. Like, why can't we just, you know? And mind you, they that was their thing. And you know, like you, even you're careful. So do your thing. My thing is just being MJ, you know, and but also evolve.
Well, I think that's why you're important in the community, right? Like, and I think there's like, you can compartmentalize, because so on my show, right, my channel, I don't smoke or cuss or drink or whatever else.
I don't smoke or cuss either now, just so you know. I have not smoked or cussed on this show in a long time, just so you know.
Yeah, and like that's fine. However, there are other shows where I will cuss and say fuck and drink alcohol and the whole thing. And it's just like a part to compartmentalize those things. And we're just in such a small community that I feel like it's important to have guys like you and me and Garrett and Brian and all these guys who are very different. And you have like different audiences within a very small community. So what you're doing, in my opinion, is important, because I think it's like the most open and honest and free experience that you can get in terms of people's personalities in this industry. Like the real people. You're interviewing the real people, because you're interviewing me, and you would never get this. I've said shit and fuck and piss and all this stuff on your podcast that I would never say on my own channel or even Instagram. But yeah, you get like the real person. I think that you have a gift and a talent for doing what you do.
Yeah, man. Hey, I gotta say, this is a real gift of life, what we do, man. Like, because you understand, you know, we're talking about how you're traveling, how I've been traveling, the people, man. And I don't like people. Here's the thing. These animals are making me love people more. And that's good, because we got to love each other. You know what I mean? And I just come from a place where lies, deceit, like, you know, getting deceived and like cheated on from exes, like all like sorts of things of why I don't like to trust people. Right. But at the end of the day, like, I just have a lot of shit I need to let go of. Right. And because of these animals, a lot of that shit, I'm able to just kind of like, just let it go. You know what I mean? Because you're not a part of that life no more. You're in a whole different part of your life. And yeah, you'll still be lied to. You're still going to get fake people, but pivot, you know? And that's the thing. Like, I'd much rather let people know what they have. Like, this is like, I am who I am. Nothing fucking, no hidden agenda. This is what you get. Right. So I expect the same in return from other people, you know? So, and if not, that's fine. You know, listen, God bless, be who you want, but we all have options in this world. I love it. Gotta love options, Adam. Gotta love them.
And you gotta have options. So like I guess I know this is your interview and you're interviewing me, but my curiosity, so what is next for you? You obviously are breeding all these things and you do your podcast and whatever else. So, but what is new for you? What is happening for you the rest of this year? So
the rest of this year, I'm more than likely not going to travel anywhere else. Normally I have everything planned out throughout the year. I canceled some things just because, I don't know, my wife's going on 7 months pregnant. I get a little bit anxiety now leaving. I just want to be home. And also too, like, this is a year where I'm going to have the most chondro clutches potentially. And I have monitors laying clutches. Like, I just want to be home. So right now my game plan is to get back on the vlog side of things. Like, I want to, because dude, I got this podcast cracking from home. I didn't get this podcast cracking from traveling. That came after. So what I mean is, if I want to keep this legacy going, I don't need to travel, even though that was fun and that helps. But I could just get back to the roots of just doing epic ass shows like I'm doing right now. I do want to put more brain power into, because here's the thing. Even though I don't feel like there's competition to what I do, I really don't feel like I'm competing with anybody. I'm not being cocky, but I don't think anyone's on my level, right? But I also feel like a lot of people are all doing the same thing. Like, it's a lot of the same, like, and that's okay to interview the same person, but it's literally the same question. It's literally like, it's fucking repetitive, right? So I want to get more creative. I have ideas. I don't want to, here's the thing. There's people who fucking do homework on my shows. Okay. Literally. And it's flattering when I see people like take little ideas from me. I love that. Right. But I have certain things that I want to roll out this year with certain podcasts, as far as like I'll give you a little hint. Like I just did a show with Will Moros and Sybil Serpents. These are two guys who are, I feel like, really relevant in the ball python game, right? And to be called relevant in the ball python game is not easy, I feel like. But you have somebody who's been in the game, Jacob, for 3 years, going on 4, and you have Will, who has like going on 20 years plus experience, right? So I just want like the youngest, and not calling Will old, but the eldest on a platform talking about like elite shit, right? So that podcast was a ball python, elite ball python talk, just how to be relevant, like nothing but elite marketing techniques, like none of this fucking like, well, you know, when did you start feeding your snakes rats, or like basic shit? Like it just kind of more into the like shit that I'm trying to figure out, right? You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Does that make sense? So I just want to kind of get more back on my grind home and just put more of the effort here, because you know my kid's due in July, and once he's here and once he's born, I go from there. You know what I mean? But I just right now I haven't been happier, bro. I'm home. The fact that I have nothing planned to leave other than I'm going to Jamaica in 3 days. That's my wife. I'm going with my wife. That's not like an animal trip. That's gonna be fun, right? So there's no agenda other than just have a good time by the poolside, right? But I don't know. I just want to get back. I want to feel good, bro. And I feel good being home. I feel good being around all this shit and seeing it progress and just back to my roots.
Well, it makes sense, man. Like you have a lot going on in the whole thing, and it's summer now. I wouldn't go to Jamaica in May, but that's just me. You know, like I got a pool and a beer fridge in my driveway and garage. So
Yeah.
for the next, you know, however many months, I'm not traveling. But yeah, that's it. If you have a lot going on at home, and then why would you leave in the first place? And again, congratulations on the kid that you have coming. That's a big thing. And it'll change your life. It'll be interesting to see, because man, people always change after they have a kid, but you already seem pretty, you know, normal and real and down to earth. So it'll be interesting to see how like similar that you are during your show. Plus, this is part of what you do for a living, so you just kind of can't stop, or like won't want to stop anyway.
Right.
So, but it's always interesting. Like I don't know if like, so I'm a comedian, right? I follow comedy, and Bill Burr's first special after his kid was like very timid and lackluster and very safe, and then the one right after that was like the most balls to the wall ever one. So it'd be interesting.
He was probably like, fuck that. He probably rewatched it and was like, whoa, no, we're not doing this.
Yeah, like the first one after was like 2016. I forget what it was called, but it was like, what the fuck is this? This is not the guy that I know. And they did Paper Tiger in 2019, and that was, in my opinion, the best special since George Carlin was alive. And he had a kid, or 2 kids then, right? So it'll be interesting to see, man. I think kids change you, and I don't have any kids, right? So I'm just saying, like, from what I see from other people. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I can't wait to see the progression of the show and what you do after that.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, Donnie, I think right when Donnie found out I was having a kid, he's like, oh, God. He's like, everything. He's like, you're going to change. Everything's going to change. You're not going to be the same MJ anymore. I'm like, yeah, I am. He's like, no, you're not. You're not. And I was like, dude, stop. Like, obviously, I'm going to move a little smarter, obviously. And that's what I want to do, because at the end of the day, my kid's going to be into YouTube, and someone's going to be like, hey, you know, your dad has a podcast, right? And then there you go. He could go down a whole fucking wormhole of all the crazy shit I did. But also, there's nothing I did on this show that I really regret. You know what I mean? As far as like, you know, other than like, yeah, son, that's what alcohol does to you, unfortunately, when you're upset. That's basically
fair.
it. Yeah. But you know, I don't know. Day by day, bro. I have a wrap-up question for you, Adam, before we get into some hot seat questions. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Sure.
But like I said, you know, God bless people who are trying to just elevate their lives. And that's the thing. When you get into animals, like you accept more challenges, I feel like if someone who just goes from just doing the safe route to getting into animals and accepting more challenges, it just kind of helps you break through and elevate. So for anyone out there who's like struggling starting YouTube because they think either it costs this much money to start, or they think they need this equipment or whatever, just so many rebuttals. Like, what's your biggest advice for anyone out there who has all these excuses not to start YouTube?
Stop being a bitch. That's it. Like, serious. So when I started, bro, I had no money. I was about to lose my house. I was the brokest I've ever been. I was in a bad situation, the whole thing. But start with your phone if you don't have a camera.
Yeah, seriously.
Phones now are good. Buy a mic. Like you can buy a Rode mic for $35. Okay,
Yep.
so there's no excuse. Borrow it. Go rob a bank, homeless person, whatever. Get a mic, put it on your phone, and then put your phone and hold it in front of your face, bro. Okay, that's it. And be consistent.
Record.
Yeah, that's it, bro. And my opinion, be consistent, because the best thing I ever did was never miss an upload. I started uploading on January 14th, 2019. I have never missed an upload ever. That what kills you is YouTube. You're not. So here's the difference, right? I own businesses that are brick and mortar, and so do my friends, and I own a YouTube channel. Brick and mortar business, you have to convince one person to take your job. Real estate, renovations, lawn care, window washing, whatever. You have to convince one person that you are worth their money, and then you get their money. With Instagram or YouTube, you're convincing an algorithm. So you have to be consistent. So never, ever miss an upload for any reason. I don't care if you are shitting your brains out and have COVID on the same day. Been there, still put out a video that week. I don't care if both your grandparents that are still existing died on the same fucking day. Been there, still put out a fucking video. No excuses. You have to continue to put out videos. That's it. And get better at something every week. So you put out a video every week, and this week you get better at lighting. Next week you get better at audio. Next week you get better at being a personality. Next week you get better at your vocabulary. The next week you go back to lighting. The week after that you go back to audio. So just keep getting better at what you do, and that's it. And as long as you're passionate, in my experience, and you've seen this with all the other channels, including yours, you're going to be successful. That's it. Do something you love and get better at it every single week.
Just do the work. That's it.
Do the work.
Yeah.
And stop being a bitch with your excuses. I'm so tired of these excuses. Oh, well, my dog had diarrhea. Shut up. Like, just who cares? Clean up their asshole and then do the work. And it's so frustrating to me when I hear these excuses. Like, there's going to be excuses for everything. Every business you ever do, whether it's YouTube or not, you're going to have things that come up in your life. You have to continue to work, period. Stop making excuses.
And one of the worst is like, oh, I'm running out of content. How the fuck you run out of content when you just started? Like, if you think
MJ, I am on episode 443 on Thursday, okay? Right. I do top fives. You think that I haven't recycled videos or retitled videos? Of course you're going to run out of content. Just shut the fuck up and do the work. I'm so sorry to be so abrupt and aggressive.
I embrace it.
But I know you do. But at the same time, it's like, man, just stop making excuses. You have to do the work, and you have to come up with new ideas and the whole thing. Ask ChatGPT. Ask the Discord. Go to somebody else's Discord. You have to find new ideas, and you have to stop making excuses, because nobody cares except for you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Facts. Damn.
Facts.
Shit went by quick, Adam. Thank you. Well, we got hot seat questions, okay, and then we'll let you go. All right. So,
sure.
Guys, the likes are very respectable. Appreciate all the likes for this guy. But if you haven't already, get the likes up from Adam. Hot seat questions coming in hot. You ready, Adam?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Frozen thought or live?
Frozen thought. Every time.
A cut or no cut?
Sorry, what's the question?
A cut or no cut? Would you ever cut an egg, or would you never cut an egg?
Oh, I would cut an egg.
On what day? Ball pythons. Let's say ball pythons. What day would you call? What day would you cut a ball python egg?
56.
Nice. There we go. Mm-hmm. Red chondro neo or yellow chondro neo?
Red.
Pre-fur shed meal or post-fur shed meal?
Post.
Yay imports or boo imports?
Depends on the species, but never nay.
It doesn't work like that, Adam. Let's just say you're in charge. It's either yes or no. Would you allow imports in Canada, United States, Indo, United States? Like, if you had the power to sign this and say yes, would you say
allow.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
What would be one reptile you would love to import? Like, let's say you're in Texas, you got all the land and shit, living the dream. What would be one reptile you would love to import anywhere around the world?
Fiji banded iguanas. Let them in.
Damn. Pause. Why aren't those? What's the story with those? How come they're not like? Why are they not allowed here? I'm confused.
So same reason that rhino and rock iguanas aren't allowed in Canada. Basically, when the CITES went into place, there was no Fiji banditids in the U.S. and there was no rhinos or rock iguanas in Canada, and therefore you can't import them. Even though I live in Niagara Falls, Niagara Falls, Canada,
yeah,
and I'm 5 minutes from the border. Even if you have one, I can't bring it across. It's like imaginary line bullshit. It doesn't make any sense.
What about one reptile nobody should ever import? Leave it alone. Don't touch it.
Galapagos marine iguanas.
Unless you live in the marine, which nobody should.
Right. Or loggerhead sea turtles.
Yeah, there you go. Leave the sea turtles alone. And period.
Bro, leave them alone, bro. Yeah, have biodegradable straws and don't fuck with sea turtles.
I might piss some people off, even Barcheck. I'm sorry, but I don't feel like anyone should have fly river turtles, man. I don't know why.
Okay.
I
feel like
because I want them too, but I heard they need like so much space. Like I'm talking like thousands of gallons. I heard. I could be wrong, but like I mean,
I feel like Ken and Harkin rolling around right now. But yes, I agree. But he also has like if you're not Kenan, you don't have a complex, don't have fly river turtles. I agree with you.
Right. And mind you, Barcheck's plans for his turtles are next level at the aquarium, or I think, yeah, he's at the Legacy Aquarium across the street. Just saying, if you're not on that kind of time, don't touch those things. Leave them alone, okay? Where was I? Okay, to mist or spray a reptile, or to never mist and spray a reptile.
Ooh, mist and spray. For almost all.
How many YouTube videos a week? You personally?
2.
How many reels a day?
0.5. One every other day.
One every other day. I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't.
I meant shorts. My bad. Not reels. I'm sorry. I meant shorts. Shorts. How many shorts are you putting on your YouTube account?
Oh, 0.
Oh, you don't do shorts?
No, I don't. I should. Okay.
I thought you were with that many subscribers. I thought you're doing everything you need to do. That's crazy.
Ideal world, 1 a day. I just don't have time.
Okay. Respect. Yay sports or boo sports?
Yay. Bro, before this, I was watching the Bruins beat the shit out of the Panthers.
Oh, wow. Perfect. What favorite sport?
NFL football.
Favorite football team of all time?
New England Patriots, if you make me pick a year, 2007. That was the best year of all time.
Jesus. No comment. Big flexor or no flexor?
Well,
lie.
I was a bodybuilder for a while, so this is
You're a flexor.
But in terms of like money and assets and shit, no flexor. It's nobody who gives a shit. In terms of like what I work for in the gym,
in terms of animal content, flexor.
Oh, I show my Fiji banded iguana all the time, so flexor.
Flexor, that's what I'm saying. Okay. Steak or fish?
Snake.
No, steak. Steak or fish?
Oh, steak. I'm allergic to fish. Steak.
Oh, wow. Okay. Favorite cut of steak?
New York strip.
Perfect. Van Halen or Sammy Hagar?
Sammy Hagar.
Wow. Canada. What the? Dude, there would be no fucking Sammy without Van Halen, bro.
I know. Sorry. I
Right.
know.
Oh, good. No, respect. Stand your ground. West Coast rap or East Coast rap?
Ooh. Oh.
You're almost done, buddy. Hang in there.
It's got to be the Notorious B.I.G. Sorry. It's got to be East Coast.
East Coast? Okay. Little word association. First thing to come to mind. Milk.
Cows.
YouTube.
Wickens, Wicked Reptiles.
U.S. Ark, Florida.
God.
Stuck shed.
Ah, shit.
Substrate.
Loose.
Ball python breeder.
Billy Rose.
Okay. Instagram trolls.
DBCB Exotics.
Okay, first. Wow. Okay. You have Facebook, correct? Don't you? Or no?
I do, yeah.
Okay. If it came down to you deleting one Facebook group, what Facebook group would that be?
Canada Reptiles.
Wow. Damn. You said that
No.
so quick.
No hesitation. Fuck that group.
Wow. I love it. That was so fluent and on point. Listen, dude, we just had shy of 70 people tapped in tonight. What do you have to say to all the love and support you had and just all your fans and people out there rocking with you, Adam? What do you have to say to everyone out there?
I want to say thank you so much to all of you who have tapped into anything I've ever done. I want to say thank you so much to MJ for having me on the podcast. Everybody who's ever watched anything that I ever had to say or do. I know this was kind of like off-brand for me, but if you stuck it to the end, thank you so much. I appreciate everything that I do, and I'm literally living my dream because of you.
Well said, Adam. Thank you. Listen, I got to tell you, this will be one of many rounds of you coming on the show. I think we vibe very well. And I've just got to say, man, I mean, obviously I'm not going anywhere, and that's the case for you. So this will continue. This will happen again, but it's a wrap for now, guys. Get up for my boy, Adam from Wickens, Wicked Reptiles, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up.
Thank you so much, MJ. I appreciate you having me on, bro.
Love you, man. Have a good night. Talk to you soon.
Love you too, buddy. Thanks.
Peace out. What a good guy. Canada, that guy is legit. I got to say, I have my favorites out of Canada. New favorite right there, Adam Wickens. Guys, do me a favor. Go give him a follow. Instagram, Adam from Wickens Reptiles. Also, go subscribe to his YouTube channel. I'm telling you right now, man, if you want to talk about a fun way of learning, his YouTube channel is one of the best out there. I'm telling you right now. Yeah, mad props to him. And mad props to anyone out there who tapped in tonight. Had a really good time. I will say tomorrow, new breed on the block. We have somebody coming to the platform who I'm very excited to sit down with. Someone who actually started a reptile podcast with his buddy Chris, but also very, down with the snakes, man. He's out of Arizona, but tap in for Mondays, new breed on the block / podcaster with Levi from Faster Than Life Reptiles, going down here 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. If you're looking for exclusive content, remember, go down to the very first link you see in the description below. Join the Trap Talk Patreon family. As soon as you join the Patreon family, you get a link to the Discord captioned with over 160 trappers, all about the reptiles and many other epic things about life. And also follow me on Instagram, Trap Talk God 619. Follow the podcast's Instagram page as well, Trap Talk Reptile Podcast. Facebook, what's good? Like and follow me on Facebook. And yeah, guys, thank you for continuing to support me and the industry. Remember to support US ARC, support US ARC Florida. Don't sleep on this massacre thing, guys. Keep the fucking heat going on this, because I heard more corruption behind this story. So, and also keep me informed. If you guys hear anything new, shoot me a DM. I want to be up to date on all this current event with this fucked up situation in Florida. But guys, again, enjoy the rest of your night. Adam, thank you again, buddy. I appreciate it. Looking forward to the future for all of us, and have a good night. I'm out.